So today's workshop is from the researcher's perspective on using Grant Forward. The presentation will be organized into three parts. First, I will give a quick overview of Grant Forward. Next, I will focus on researching for grants. And in the third part, I will show you how to receive personalized grant recommendations. I will now screen share and introduce our PowerPoint. And don't worry if you missed something in this presentation. This resource, the PowerPoint, as well as this recording, will be posted on the ORSP training website for future reference. So I'll send out a follow-up email with all of the participants today with this precise location. All right, so today our learning objectives. Today you will learn how to create an account in Grant Forward, search for grants, save your favorites, create a profile, and customize notifications. The outcome? You will periodically receive email notifications, funding opportunities that meet your research needs. What is Grant Forward? Well, in a nutshell, it's a search engine designed to help you find opportunities that suit your research needs. Navigating to Grant Forward. Here there is a direct link, grantforward.com, but I would be remiss not to mention our ORSP website. The MTSU homepage will go to the A to Z index, R for research and sponsored programs. There you will find our homepage. We have a page for funding opportunities for faculty funding. And here is a snapshot of that page. You will see that we have conveniently created a profile link for Grant Forward. You will also notice in the left-hand column, under faculty funding, we also offer rich resources for student funding. Students can also use Grant Forward, anyone with an MTSU email account. So let's start our live demonstration and move to the overview. So this is the Grant Forward homepage, grantforward.com. On this page, you will see the sign up button. It will take you to the institution sign up page. You will enter your MTSU email, and the institution name, MTSU, will auto-populate. Click Researcher, fill in the pertinent information, and click Create My Account. At this point, you will check your MTSU email to receive a confirmation link. At that point, you have successfully registered with Grant Forward. You will see that Grant Forward is organized with all key functions as menu options at the top of the page. The first step is knowing about pre-solicitations. We won't spend a lot of time here, but let's take a look. Here, funders or sponsors announce news about future funding or workshops. As you can see to the left, you can narrow down your search. Announcements here are conveniently include estimated dates, opportunities, or events. Moving across the top of the menu bar, we will explore the Grants tab. When clicking Search for Grant Opportunities, you will notice approximately 26,000 grants are available for viewing without using filter conditions. Thankfully, you are able to search with filters or use keywords. We will discuss this in more detail later. Moving across the menu, next is awards. Grant Forward has a funded project database for searching. Again, you are able to manipulate filters on the left, and this function allows you to see the trends of funding and offers ideas about topics to work on. Next is sponsors. This tab allows you to find out who is funding the topic of research you are doing. We will revisit this tab soon. Grant Forward is also a database of researchers. Within this tab, you will see who researchers have created profiles with MTSU and across all institutions if they have made their profiles public. The Administrator Console is for administrative use, which is not covered in this session. Rounding out our menu options is support. Grant Forward offers a very robust collection of supporting materials, including tutorials, webinars, and quick tips. Grant Forward offers customer service and even boasts their own YouTube channel. For the next part of this workshop, I will focus on searching for grants. Does anyone have any questions at this point? You may ask, who is making money available for my research? Well, let's explore the sponsors directory. Here, Grant Forward has arranged an A to Z list of sponsors. Click on the sponsor to see detailed information about them and also a link to the sponsor's website. You can search by keyword to narrow down your results. So when searching environmental, the 15,000 sponsors reduced to about 100. But look at the number of opportunities. When we scroll down, we can see the number of grants that these sponsors offer. I would also like to point out that you can look for sub-sponsors. So the National Science Foundation, you will see here in their summary that there is a list of sponsors who fall under the umbrella of NSF. And there are 23 listed here. Now let's touch on Grant Forward's search capabilities. There are a few ways to perform searches. One is by keyword. So let's do a search on life sciences. You can also use the advanced keyword search to add keywords or phrases. So let's look up social media. And then it also offers an exclusion tab, so we can exclude biology. We do a search there. We have about 2,500 results. Seemingly, it did a really great job. But let's notice, as I scroll down, my social media and life sciences starts to merge into social sciences. That is not helpful for my purposes. So a tip would be to enclose your search keywords into quotation marks, which makes them phrases. So at this point, our 2,500 search results narrows down to 600.
I'm sorry, what did you say in closing in parentheses does?
It makes it, instead of a keyword to search individually, for instance, life sciences and social media, it did a general search on all of those words. When you enclose them in quotation marks, it searches them as a phrase. So it links them together. So you will not see any results on social sciences, but you would see the phrase life sciences and the phrase social media. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. So now that we've narrowed down our search, you will see on the side here, due date, the grant title, sponsor, description, and then below you will see an amount, deadlines, eligibility, and submission info. If you're interested, then click the summary for more details. Let me point out here that the information to the left is the information compiled by Grant Forward. On the right is information straight from the sponsor. So we encourage people to, of course, visit the application URL. You will find a lot of the information there, a lot more detail. But the left-hand side, that's where you're going to find your sponsor information, straight from the horse's mouth. The left side is going to be your Grant Forward information. So you've narrowed down your search by keyword. You've clicked on a grant that you're interested in. From this page, you can do several important things. First, you can favorite this opportunity. So when you bookmark or favorite this, it is collected into your favorite tabs, which is located under grants up here on the top menu bar. And when we click on the favorite tab, so this is a short list of all of the grants that you would like to consider. The reason for this tag is to quickly revisit, and you will receive notifications if there's any changes, such as a deadline date. So that could be very useful. Not only can you favorite an opportunity, But you can also export your whole list when you're inside of your favorites here. So here's an export button, if you can see that on the right-hand side. So it will export in Excel or PDF. Also here, you can share opportunities with colleagues via email. So if you click on the share button here, it will email these to colleagues of your choice. So revisiting life sciences, we have almost 1,500 returns. You may see a lot of fellowship and scholarship opportunities. If you're a professor, these opportunities might not interest you. We can solve that problem by manipulating the filters located on the left of the page. Under grant types, we can toggle these off and on. So we might want to throw out all the fellowship, intern. We may be specifically interested in research projects, training courses, workshops, tutorial, collaborative. So this is where you have a lot of control within Grant Forward. You can toggle and play around with these filters to home in on what your specific interests are. So we can see that these filters are a very effective way to explore our returns. So let's take a look at these. Sponsors. You can input specific sponsors that you would like to track. For instance, the National Institutes of Health, and those will auto-populate for you. There is a list, and you can do a search here, search by name. Oh yes, Bill Gates. So you can also use the list to search for sponsors that you would like to specifically home in on. Categories. This is where you will find academic disciplines. We recommend using the list. So when I click on list, you will see many areas. So selecting life sciences. Let me point this out. If you select life sciences here and click on subcategories, it will automatically select every subcategory. So the most effective way to narrow down your search is to visit these subcategories. Look into which particular category interests you the most, and say you just specifically want to find grants dealing with growth factors. Deadline, you can look at how much time you have. Status, the Grant Forward defaults to open and continuous. You can choose to look at closed if you want to get an idea of past opportunities. You can set your funding amount depending on how ambitious you are. Sponsor types, federal, state, foundation, academic, so on and so forth. Applicant locations. This allows for you to select the state and where you live. Some grants are only for people who live in certain areas, such as California. So they would not send you those grant opportunities that are only for California residents. Now the system does default to include unspecified. So if a sponsor does not specify a specific location, you will get those notifications. And the same with the other locations. Applicant types, individual, organizational, CFDA numbers. The opportunities to manipulate your search results are pretty endless with this. Now, say that I have all of these filters set to exactly a specification that I'm happy with. At that point, you can save your search. You can title it, maybe it's my favorite sponsors. You can perform mini searches and save those, and then you can set your alert frequency. The alert frequency will let you know when there are new grants available fitting those particular criteria. You can set your frequency for every Monday or the first of every month. Our office generally recommends weekly notifications. Also here, you can see that you can export your search. Is there any, while we're still in this page, any questions?
Sorry, what was the reason to use applicant locations?
There are some grants that are narrowed only to residents of certain states. For instance, a grant may be available for someone who lives only in the state of California. Well, Grant Forward will see that you do not live in California, so therefore they will not send you that notification. Now, it's up to you if you would like to include that in your exclusion list.
Thank you.
With alerts,
Yes.
so I need to search for grants in like at least 2 separate fields.
Mm-hmm.
Can I get like a newsletter every week or whatever, or every month or whatever? Or is it going to be like, this is the one for psychology, this is the one for food science, this is the one for?
I'm not sure. I do know we have Dr. Samantha Cantrell on the call today. Dr. Cantrell, can you speak to that?
Sorry, could you repeat the question?
So personally, I do work both in like psychology, which is very academically funded usually, and then food science, which is often pretty industry funded. So I might get like a USDA grant, or I might apply for like a USDA or like a Tennessee Department of Agriculture grant for a food science project, but that's definitely not going to apply to like my psychology work. And so I'm wondering if I have to save separate searches for each type of, like for each category of grants or whatever, each discipline of grants, or if I can just like
I would recommend if the interest and the outcomes and the funding opportunities are quite different, I would just recommend saving more than one search. So you can save a search and name it, and then save another search and name it.
Yeah, I guess my question was if I can get like a digest that combines them, or if I'm gonna have to have 2 separate.
Well, you may have to then just combine this. You might just have to lump all of the terms into one search. I don't think they offer a digest like that. I like the idea that you can save separate searches that have different ways of being refined. I think that's actually a plus of the system.
Yeah, for sure. Because like no industry grant is going to be applicable.
And the other thing that I think is useful is once those searches are saved, you can continue to refine them. If you find that they're not quite working for you, you go back in and open them up, and then once you open it up and you load it, you can edit it further in terms of how you put your parameters on it and save it again. So I think that's that's a useful function, because sometimes it's a trial and error. It's just like searching background literature. Yeah. It's just like any kind of library search. Sometimes you have to cast a wide net to get the results you actually are looking for. But sometimes the net is a little too wide, and you can go back in there and tweak it some more and save it again, and hopefully get more refined results. But I just don't. It could be that function is available, but I don't know about it.
I can look.
It is available. I get the weekly alerts, and I have several search indicators that I'm interested in, and they all come in one email. What I did not know is that you could narrow it to location, because I get notices from California, Nevada, and everywhere. So I can go back in and change my profile or my search and narrow it to Tennessee or a couple of surrounding states. Could I not?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, but can I just jump back in for a second? When you narrow it to Tennessee, you always want to keep that include unspecified check, and you might still get the Nebraska Humanities Council, because somebody could be writing about Nebraska history, for example, and then living in Tennessee. So it's not perfect. It's not perfect, because some of these state councils won't restrict only to state applicants. Sometimes it has to do with the topic more than the location where the funder is. But And also, I wanted to mention, you said you get a digest. There are two different, I think there are two different ways of getting digest. One has to do with the profile you create that's got all of your keywords in it. And then there's this second way of getting it. Well, I'm not sure if the profile, I know it when you log in and you look at your profile, it'll show recommended funding in a column to the right. So anyway, I just I know there's lots of ways of using this. I think I find that the search mechanism is probably the most useful way to refine it to what you need.
And to point out, there is a save searches option here in which you can go, like Dr. Cantrell mentioned, go back in and refine your save searches if you need to edit those. Are there any other questions? Okay, well, as we discussed, the third part of our workshop is about receiving meaningful notifications. How do you get meaningful recommendations based on your publications and interest? Well, these are all based on the profile that you create as described by your research interest. So now I'm going to screen share a different page, and we're going to look at a recommendations page, a sample recommendations page. All right, so this is a sample recommendation profile page. So let's take a look at this. You will see at the top of the recommendations page the description of the owner's account. There is a list of grants just like the search pages we just viewed. Every grant has highlighted keywords. These recommendations are actually populated from an automated search base of the researcher's interest, which is derived from the researcher's publications. We can also see the result of the researcher's interest in a keyword cloud. You can scroll through history on the researcher's timeline to see how interests have changed. We will talk about getting these valuable recommendations and how it's heavily dependent on creating a profile that successfully reflects your research interests. So now we'll segue into creating your profile and how we will do that. Under the Profile tab, click Create a Profile. Begin Building button. In this first page, you will enter basic information. On the next page, Grant Forward will ask you about your research interest. This is where you will tell the system where to find your publication information. There are 3 ways to connect your information to your profile. One is by entering the URL of existing research or publication web pages. The system will ask you if it's personal or institution. The system also supports other profile pages, such as Google Scholar and ORCID. Also, you can upload your CV. The professional interest will be automatically extracted from the document. The last option is to manually copy or paste your publications into the text box. There's an opportunity on this page to add additional interest. On the next page, under the extra info and profile options, you can customize your profile by entering additional information and a photo of yourself. Soon we will see at the bottom of the page that they will toggle the public or private tab. Please know that public will allow all users to view your profile, but private allows only people in your institution to view your profile. You can receive recommendation emails, and this will update your publication for new entries. All right, so at this point, we will screen share our PowerPoint one last time for some supplementary information. Today, we covered creating an account, searching for grants, creating and customizing your profile, getting recommendations, and notifications. These are all detailed on the PowerPoint that will be a resource on our ORSP homepage. So the Office of Research and Sponsored Programs is where you will find help after this workshop. Jeffrey Porter, our director, and Dr. Samantha Cantrell, which is our professional development and pre-award specialist, whom you've already met. We would all be happy to help you. We have embedded in the PowerPoint video resources and website resources for your use. At this point, I will open the workshop to questions and answers. We are here to help you with any questions that you may have.
Will you be sending out a link to the PowerPoint?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
The link to the PowerPoint and our recording today will be made available for your use.
You know, as most of you know who have used, if you've used search engines before, it takes trial and error, as Dr. Cantrell said. Never hesitate to just call Casey while you're actually in there and talk about what you're doing, and she can help you. We think it's a pretty robust search engine, so I hope you all take advantage of it. Not only for funding searches, but I think it can also be used as a collaboration tool. Find people or be found. So please take advantage of it. It's actually pretty cost effective as these kinds of things go. Little background, it was actually a homegrown system at the University of Illinois Chicago Library. And they spun it into a private company, I guess, about 5 years ago or 6 years ago. So I think they've done a great job. So if you don't have any more questions or anything we should know, thank you all very much for attending this afternoon. And again, never hesitate to contact Casey or Samantha or myself. So I hope you all have a great weekend.
All right, thank you, everyone.